The golden 60 balloons bobbed gently above the mahogany dining table as my sister Rebecca continued her quarterly update. Third consecutive record-breaking quarter at Anderson Global, she announced, tapping her designer pen against a leather portfolio. We're projecting a 40% increase in revenue next year. Wonderful, darling. Mother beamed, passing the roasted potatoes. Gerald, isn't that wonderful? Dad nodded approvingly, his CEO persona firmly in place even at his own birthday dinner. That's the kind of growth we like to see. Real business, real results. I pushed my food around my plate, already knowing what was coming. Right on cue, all eyes turned to me. And what about you, Michael? Rebecca's smile didn't reach her eyes. Still playing with computers in your garage? Actually, it's an office now, I corrected quietly. Downtown. Oh. Mother perked up. Like a real company? Quantum Tech has always been a real company, I said, keeping my voice level. We're just selective about our clients. Rebecca snorted delicately. Selective? Last I heard you had 3 clients? 5, I corrected. All major tech firms. Speaking of tech firms, Dad cut in. Rebecca's division just landed the Anderson Global Cybersecurity contract. 9 figures. Company-wide implementation. I took a careful sip of wine, saying nothing. You should talk to Rebecca about your little business, Mother suggested brightly. Maybe she could throw some work your way. That's thoughtful, Mother, but dash. Oh, please, Rebecca waved her hand dismissively. We need enterprise-level solutions, not garage startup experiments. Our new system is state-of-the-art. The best in the industry. Her laptop chimed with an incoming email. She flipped it open, then frowned. That's odd. Problem? I asked mildly. Just a system notification. Probably routine maintenance. She tapped a few keys, her frown deepening. Although, another time, more urgent this time. Rebecca's screen flickered, then displayed a message that made her face go pale. Access revoked by order of Quantum Tech. What's wrong? Dad leaned over. Some kind of error. Michael. Rebecca's voice had lost its condescension. Why is your company name on my security alert? I took another sip of wine. You know, it's funny you should mention that new cybersecurity contract. What did you do? Me? Nothing. I set down my glass. But you might want to check your phone. And your tablet. Actually, check any device connected to Anderson Global's network. Rebecca frantically grabbed her phone, but the screen showed the same message. Around the table, realization began to dawn. You're behind their security system, Dad said slowly. Quantum Tech is the experimental startup that developed the quantum encryption protocol Anderson Global depends on. I nodded. Along with 4 other major tech companies you've probably heard of. But the contract was with Superior Systems, Rebecca protested. Their pitch was incredible. The technology was licensed from us. I finished. Superior Systems is one of our implementation partners. They handle sales and deployment. We focus on innovation. Mother's hand trembled as she reached for her wine. How long? 3 years, I said. Remember when you all laughed at me for turning down that corporate job? I was already developing the encryption protocol. When you mocked my little hobby last Christmas, we were finalizing patents. Those patents. Dad's business mind was racing. The industry impact is why we're selective about clients. I pulled out my phone, tapped a few commands. Rebecca's devices suddenly reactivated. We don't chase contracts. They chase us. Rebecca stared at her restored screen. The level of control you have over our entire system is exactly what you paid for, I said. Top-tier security with quantum-level encryption. Though you might want to update your personal password. Queen Bee 123 isn't exactly fortress-level security. You can see my password? I can see everything on your network. That's literally what you hired my company to protect. I turned to Dad. By the way, happy birthday. Sorry about the dramatic demonstration, but after 5 years of being dismissed as a hobby programmer. 9 figures, he whispered. The Anderson contract alone is a small part of our annual revenue, I completed. Turns out quantum encryption is quite valuable in the digital age. Who you? The silence that fell over the dinner table was broken only by the gentle bobbing of birthday balloons. My family's worldview, where success meant corner offices and corporate titles, was being forcibly rebooted. "Why didn't you tell us?" Mother finally asked. "I tried. Every family dinner. Every holiday. But you were all too busy celebrating real business success to listen." Rebecca closed her laptop slowly. "Superior Systems presents the quarterly reports to our board tomorrow. Will the system work perfectly?" I smiled. "Of course. We're professionals. Unlike some, we don't let family dynamics affect business decisions." Dad set down his fork. "Your sister's division will receive the same excellent service as all our clients," I assured him. "Though she might want to stop calling us a garage startup in board meetings. The quantum encryption algorithms get sensitive about that." "You heard those meetings?" Rebecca's voice was faint. "No, but our AI monitoring system did. It flags certain keywords for review. Garage startup is apparently one of them. Interesting coding quirk." I stood, straightening my jacket. Not designer but well-suited for someone who spent more time with quantum computers than corporate boards. "Now if you'll excuse me, I have a video call with our Tokyo office. But please enjoy the rest of Dad's birthday dinner." "And Rebecca?" I paused at the door. "The system maintenance notification? That wasn't routine. You might want to update your entire security protocol. I'll have our team send over the recommendations." I didn't make it 3 steps into the hallway before Dad's voice called out. "Michael. Wait." The sound of his chair scraping back, followed by hurried footsteps. I turned, finding him looking somehow older than his 60 years, the confident CEO facade cracking. "That quantum encryption protocol you mentioned," he said, lowering his voice. "The one Anderson Global uses is also used by nearly every major financial institution in Asia," I finished. "I know. We developed it." He leaned against the wall, processing. "The Financial Times article last month about the revolutionary security system preventing cyber attacks on the Tokyo Stock Exchange. Page 6. I nodded. There was a nice photo of our team. I'm the one in the t-shirt looking unprofessional, as Mother would say. From the dining room, I could hear Rebecca frantically making phone calls, her voice carrying an edge of panic I'd never heard before. "She's calling Superior Systems," I explained. "They'll confirm everything. Though she might want to wait 3 hours. It's still the middle of the night in their time zone." Dad ran a hand through his silver hair. "All those times we told you to get a real job." "I had one. Still do. Just not the kind you recognize. Because it didn't fit our definition of success," he acknowledged. My phone buzzed, the Tokyo office calling early. I held up a finger to pause our conversation and answered. "Hi, Tanaka-san. Yes, the new protocol is ready for testing. No, the quantum stability issues have been resolved. Yes, I'll review the data personally." I switched seamlessly between Japanese and English, discussing technical specifications that would have sounded like science fiction to my family a few years ago. Dad watched, his expression shifting from confusion to something approaching awe. "When did you learn Japanese?" he asked after I ended the call. "Around the same time I was wasting time in my garage," I replied. "Turns out international business requires international communication." Rebecca appeared in the doorway, her face ashen. "Michael, the board meeting tomorrow, the security presentation, will proceed as planned," I assured her. "Superior Systems will demonstrate the system's capabilities, the board will be impressed, and your division will look excellent. As agreed in our contract." "But you could have." "Could have what?" "Embarrassed you in front of the board? Revealed that your garage startup brother is actually behind the technology you've been praising." I shook my head. "That would be unprofessional. We value our clients' success, even when they don't know who we are." Mother joined us in the hallway, clutching her tablet. "I've been reading about quantum tech online," she said quietly. "The valuations, the patents, are considerable," I finished. "Though we prefer to focus on innovation rather than financials." "More than considerable," Dad corrected, still scrolling through his phone. "Michael, these numbers are why we can be selective about our clients," I said. "And why we don't need to chase contracts or prove ourselves to anyone." Rebecca's phone chimed again. Another system notification. She flinched. Just routine maintenance, I assured her. Though you might want to implement two-factor authentication on your personal devices. Your password choices are still concerning. You can't just access our systems whenever you want, she protested weakly. Actually, that's exactly what your company is paying us to do, I corrected. Monitor, protect, and occasionally demonstrate vulnerabilities. It's all in the contract you apparently didn't read very carefully. Dad was still processing the implications. Those hobby projects you used to talk about at dinner were early versions of what's now the most advanced encryption protocol in the world, I confirmed. But you all made it clear that unless I was wearing a suit in a corner office, it wasn't real work. Mother touched my arm hesitantly. We didn't understand. No, I agreed. He didn't. Because understanding would have required actually listening when I tried to explain. It would have meant accepting that success doesn't always look like your version of it. My phone buzzed again. Another international call waiting. The quantum computing world didn't stop for family revelations. I need to take this, I said. But Dad? Happy birthday again. Consider this your gift. The knowledge that your son's hobby is now protecting most of the world's financial systems. Michael, he called as I turned to leave. The family dinner next month. Perhaps you could tell us about your work? Really tell us. I paused, considering. I could. But it would mean accepting that sometimes the biggest innovations come from garages, not boardrooms. That sometimes the kid playing with computers becomes the one protecting the real businesses. Rebecca cleared her throat. I think we're ready to listen now. Good, I smiled slightly. Because quantum computing is revolutionizing everything you think you know about business. And as it happens, your little brother is leading that revolution. I answered my phone, switching to Mandarin this time as I walked away. Behind me, I could hear them returning to the dining room, the conversation notably different from their usual corporate success stories. The birthday balloons still bobbed gently above the table, but now they seemed to be celebrating something else. The moment when a family's definition of success finally quantum leaped into the modern age. In my pocket, my phone buzzed with another system alert. Somewhere in Tokyo, another financial system was becoming quantum secure. Another piece of the digital future falling into place, protected by the company they'd dismissed as a hobby. 1 month later, I stood in front of my family's dining room table again, but this time was different. Gone were the dismissive glances and condescending smirks. Instead, my audience sat rapt as I explained quantum computing principles using a holographic display projected from my custom-built smartphone. The quantum bits, or qubits, exist in multiple states simultaneously, I explained, manipulating the 3D visualization. This allows for computational power exponentially greater than traditional systems. And this is what protects the financial networks? Dad leaned forward, his reading glasses perched on his nose as he studied the complex patterns. Among other things, I nodded. Our latest protocol can detect intrusion attempts before they even begin, using quantum predictive algorithms. Rebecca, who had spent the last month diving deep into our technology, raised her hand like an eager student. Is that how you knew my password? Quantum prediction. No, I smiled. That was just because you used the same password for everything and your personal email was hacked 2 years ago. Basic security oversight. Mother, who had replaced her usual society magazines with technology journals, gestured at the hologram. The Financial Times said quantum tech is working on something revolutionary for medical data protection. Can you tell us about that? Actually, I expanded the display, revealing a new set of algorithms. We're announcing it next week. A quantum-encrypted medical records system that allows instant, secure access across all authorized facilities globally. We're calling it Health Quant. The implications for emergency care alone, Dad whispered, are worth more than Anderson Global's entire market cap, I confirmed. But we're licensing it at affordable rates to make it accessible to smaller hospitals. That's not very profit-focused, Rebecca noted, her corporate mindset showing. No, it's human-focused, I corrected. Sometimes the best business decisions aren't about maximizing profits. They're about maximizing impact. The doorbell rang, interrupting our discussion. Mother returned moments later with an elegant envelope. It's for you, Michael. From the governor's office. I opened it, already knowing what it contained. They're honoring quantum tech with the State Innovation Award. The ceremony's next month. Black tie? Mother asked hopefully. Actually, I'm wearing one of my quantum pattern t-shirts. The governor's office specifically requested it. Apparently, it's become something of a trademark. Dad chuckled. Remember when we used to criticize your casual dress code? Right around the time you were telling me to get rid of my garage workbench and buy a proper desk, I smiled. That workbench is now in the Smithsonian's Technology Innovation Exhibit, by the way. They're calling it the birthplace of quantum security. Rebecca shook her head in amazement. All those years we thought we were the successful ones. Success isn't always visible, I said, shutting down the hologram. Sometimes it's lines of code, quantum algorithms, and yes, a guy in a t-shirt working in his garage. Speaking of success, Dad cleared his throat. The Anderson Global Board was quite impressed with their system review. They're considering expanding the contract globally. I know, I nodded. They reached out directly last week. We're meeting in Tokyo next month. Tokyo? Rebecca gasped. But I've been handling that account. Through Superior Systems, I said. Now they want us directly. Don't worry, your team gets credit for the first phase. That's kind after how we treated you, she admitted. It's not kindness. It's professionalism, I corrected. Something you once taught me, Dad. He nodded. Maybe you taught us more than we taught you. My phone buzzed. A quantum alert from Singapore. I opened a hologram and adjusted code in the air. Are you coding now? Mom asked. Quantum coding, I said. Securing tomorrow's Asian market. Trillions depend on it. They went quiet watching me work. For once they saw real power. Not in suits or offices, but in creating, protecting, innovating. I owe you an apology, Dad said softly. Better than an apology is understanding, I replied. Success doesn't always follow the old path. Mom smiled. We understand now. My phone buzzed again, another call. I ignored it. This moment mattered more. The quantum revolution is just starting, I told them. Want to hear what's next? They leaned in eagerly. I grinned, pulling up a new hologram. Here's what happens when quantum meets artificial intelligence.